That means that applying the level of context, the notion of what is actionable, and being able to inform the correct decision on what I need to do next to stop a threat. So what is threat intelligence? Threat intelligence is not a hash of a bad file. It is one of the indicators of what is something that is bad. But if we find a piece of malware and we write a signature against it to stop that malware, that is a piece of threat intelligence. But real threat intelligence is finding out the actor behind it. Because that once I talked about that notion about all those steps that the actor is using to enforce an attack, being able to employ command and control servers and register domains and create all that infrastructure in the libraries necessary to create their malware, that is something that is not easy for the attacker to replicate. They're going to reuse that material, and thus by creating a very good set of intelligence about those activities, we can often uncover and make it very expensive for them, because that once they use any of those things, it becomes useless if we know about them and correlate that to other activity. And I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. The wire lurker attack is an example of one. It's remarkable in many ways. It was one of the first attacks that we saw that was capable of being transmitted by USB to infect iOS devices. It was one of the first attacks that we've seen that was able to compromise a non-jailbroken iPhone. But the way that this attack worked is that it actually didn't attack the iOS device itself. What it did was that it infected an app store where people would download pirated applications for Mac OS X. So those applications would be downloaded to a host computer. Command and control infrastructure was set up back to the attacker, and the attacker actually wasn't thinking about infecting iOS devices at first, but ultimately they came up with this idea over time. In the period of months from the initial infection, that they actually developed a method to go after the iOS device by sending out an enterprise provisioning profile. There's a trust relationship between that host computer and the iOS device when you plug it in to charge it. And by delivering that enterprise provisioning profile, it was then able to send the material that was the harmful wire lurker attack.